EGM Network.
This is Martha Matters. From real estate, healthcare, current events, taxes, or just about any topic, we're talking about it. Call us with any questions on just about any subject. Now, here she is, Martha!
Well, hi there, and welcome. Well, thank goodness we only have 3 weeks to go till Election Day, and it's a very long 3 weeks. But we will all get through it. This will probably be my last broadcast concerning the media, because there's plenty to talk about with them. But in the future, for the next 3 weeks, because election is already early voting and everything else, we're going to go on with some other topics. But I've got to talk about this one, and it goes to all of us listening, watching, and even the media, even candidates, everyone. We've got to watch what they say. I'm going to give you a couple of real good examples. One is, I believe it was CBS, but it really doesn't matter because they've all done it to some extent, on every one of the other channels, news channels. And that is, JD was being interviewed, and he was talking about Aurora, Colorado, where the Venezuelan gang, and I talked about that gang a couple of programs ago, the Trende de Aguaga, yeah. And they raided these 5 apartments and decided to just take them over, throw people out, grab all the money. In the United States, worry about every single life and anybody who dies, whether from nature or a shooting or any sort of violence, car accidents or what have you, is one too many. We value each and every life of all ages. And it's okay for 5 or 6 normal apartments, nothing the matter, just routinely broken into by thugs, including when the people are there, the owners and residents are there, and they're shot and injured and tied up. And this interviewer was saying, well, it's just a handful, like, that's okay. And JD reminded her, do you realize what you're saying? It's okay for this country to turn into thugs taking people's homes and apartments all across the country. A little few or a handful in each and every community is okay. Mm-hmm. What is the matter with you? Literally, that's what JD said. And he was 100% right. What happened when Trump was president 5 years ago on the border? There were these 2 kids that were very unruly or out of control. They were sort of hyperactive. It may be what we call that hyperactive disorder. And they were put in a cage temporarily, 2 different cages. Oh, that cage picture was shown for about 4 months, and you never heard the end of it. Oh, Trump put a human being in a cage. Well, that's because it was a hyperactive kid and they didn't have the facilities to tie him down or keep him contained. And I'm sure that may even be happening during this past couple of years with all the people coming across the border. But we certainly don't talk about it. And we certainly don't talk about all the unaccompanied minors of every age, pre-puberty, teenagers that came across by themselves, literally rounded up by the cartels and were used as sex objects, slave objects for working. And when they are too tired and exhausted and beaten and abused, they just plain die. And the cartel takes care of making sure they have shallow graves and nobody knows about it. That is okay. Why? Because it's happening with a different administration and the media doesn't want to talk about it. I think any cruelty, whether it comes under Trump, whether it comes under Harris, doesn't matter, is not allowed. And it's about time the media gets a little honest instead of everybody believing everything of what is said. The interview with J.D. made it very, very obvious. J.D. knew what he was talking about, explained it very well, and the interviewer had no recourse other than straight silence. If she could have ducked under the table, she probably would have. And we've had several media that do that thing. Even the Weather Channel that is supposedly non-political and others will say, oh, this hurricane is coming, but don't worry about it. It's just sort of like a blob of a rain event. And then 2 days later, that became our Milton. I really wish they would keep their own opinions to themselves and just tell us the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Beryl was a light hurricane, not that bad, just like a lot of inclement weather. Well, we all know inclement weather is like maybe a thunderstorm, a hurricane, not a hurricane, but a rain event where you planned on having an outdoor barbecue and now, well, you better move it indoors. That's inclement weather, not a massive hurricane, not tornadoes. That's well beyond inclement weather. And Milton on the east coast of Florida is very interesting. After it made shore and came east to the east coast, it was a Category 1 or less, and we've had many tropical storms with that and nothing else, with no damage whatsoever. But you know where our damage was? Right ahead of Milton, before it made landfall in the Sarasota-Tampa area. Ahead of it was, and we saw it way back from the Gulf, there was a big area of hurricane-like weather that broke off from Milton, was not attached to the eye of the hurricane in any way, but a broken off fragment that came first several hours earlier, like Wednesday at the day of the storm at maybe 2:30, between 1:30 and 2:30 in the afternoon. And long before Milton made landfall, we had 47 tornadoes in the peninsula of Florida. We've never had that many before. And 1 or 2 hurricanes, usually it was tornadoes were so rare that when they did come, they were at most an E1, almost an E0, and then went off the coast and became waterspouts. We hardly talked about tornadoes ever. In the Panhandle, yes, but not in the peninsula. And for the first time ever, we had damaging tornadoes, 47 of them, from an E1 to an E3. And boy, do you know it. You drive up and down the Barrier Island. Most people on the Barrier Island have electricity except for a 5 or 6 block bunch that don't. Why? They were in a tornado. They weren't affected by Milton. They were affected by the tornado ahead of time. These 200- and 300-year-old oak trees that Vero Beach is known for, in that 5-block area, every one of them were either bald or every single branch and section was busted off because that was an E3 hurricane, or tornado, excuse me. The homes, for the most part, except for 1 or 2, were fine, right? Only because they weren't frame. They were all CBS. But you never saw such a disaster. Not only were the side roads closed, and it's the area between the Catholic Church and Beachland Boulevard where the Chase Bank building is, they both had tiles come off their roof. They were high buildings. They both have tops, and in the case of the bank building, the tiles were replaced very quickly over the following weekend. But those 6 or 7 blocks in between those buildings, A1A, and the Riverside Park, they have 0 landscaping as of right now. You never saw such pathetic, totally bald 300-year-old oaks, and some of them had all their branches off and were nothing but an upright stump. It was unbelievable. That was an E3 tornado, and yet across the street where Riverside Park begins, not a single tree was touched. Hardly any branches were down, just a few twigs that anyone could pick up, and that was all that took place from Milton. In other words, 100% of the damage around here is from tornadoes. Preceding Milton, now if we didn't have Milton, we probably would not have had the tornadoes. But you know the Weather Channel, everything is exact. So all of a sudden, Milton was an E1 on the East Coast, no problem at all. And even some of the out-of-state electric companies scurried over to the West Coast. We weren't needed to have so many. But with these tornadoes, that's another story. Friends of mine in Lakewood Park were part of that another tornado. They literally had a portion of their roof taken off. Granted, the eaves underneath were all still there, so they could put blue tarp on top. They had a picture window in the living room facing the street with, believe it or not, pressure-treated glass that could stand winds up to 150 miles an hour. And let me tell you what that impact glass did. It was all busted up. Why was it busted up? Because the glass is only as good as its frame, and the tornado pushed the entire frame in. So that's so much for pressure-treated glass. With a tornado, all kinds of things happen. The support, the frame, how it's attached, all of that is extremely important, and most people don't know that. They just paid the higher price, which is a much higher price, or pressure-treated glass. That in this case was not the issue. The entire window was pushed in whole because of its attachment. So let this be a lesson to all of us, those who moving into newer homes, those who go through inspections for newer homes. Please, check all this out. Let's learn something from this hurricane. And please, let's not say the wrong things like a hurricane is just slightly inclement weather. It has nothing to do with inclement weather. Let's watch what we say, all these media people. It is unbelievable how they excite you and don't excite you, which is equally as bad, on things that are important. Let's take a break, and we're going to be back real soon. I'll have more examples for you in a couple of minutes. I want to introduce you to our main sponsor, Highland Plaza, located on US 1 on the east side of the Highland Drive traffic light. We even have our own left-hand turn lane. One of the places in there, the first one on the north side, is Easy Stop, and you will be surprised what competitive and beautiful prices they have. You should give it a shot. Also, Tony's Hairstyling Salon is ideal for the entire family at all ages. He and his wife have run a salon there for years with a huge following. Also, we want to tell you about La Taberna Restaurant. It has the freshest Mexican food in town and a well-experienced chef. You will be most surprised not only by the food, but the reasonable prices. Also, I want to tell you about the nail salon. It's Luxury Nails. Let me tell you, they do everything, both for walk-in clients and appointments. Appointments are really appreciated, but they treat all clients professionally. Now, I want to repeat to you, this is located on US 1, just east of Highland Drive at the traffic light. It's a beautiful yellow building with a maroon awning. We look forward to seeing you there. Come on over.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats, and chairs in all the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal Coastal Living, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Gardens and Bollywood. We specialize in fire pits, outdoor rugs, umbrellas, and replacement cushions. Right now, we're having a huge fall sale with lots of great markdowns and discounts on everything you need for your Florida home, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet store directly across the street, filled with lots of brand name closeout and sale items. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine. Hey you! Host your very own show every week at Evergreen Media Network in Vero Beach. Go live to YouTube and Facebook with up to 4 people and your very own producer. Be heard on more than 15 podcast platforms and local radio. All you have to do is show up and talk. Your guests can join from anywhere in the world. It's easy to get started with the largest podcast studio on the Treasure Coast. Contact Evergreen Media to tour the studio.
Big news, Treasure Coast. Your favorite mortgage team just got even better. Introducing the same trusted faces you know and love, now with Union Home Mortgage.
Hi, this is Shannon Pohl.
Hi, this is Lucy Kranker. And these high-producing team members bring decades of experience, unwavering honesty, and hearts of gold to every home loan. And here's the best part. Same local processing, underwriting, and appraisers you rely on. Contact Union Home Mortgage.
Visit us online at shannoncpohl.com
and lucycranker.com.
Hi there, and welcome back. Hey, we are all very thankful very few lives were lost. But again, like I said, one life lost is too much. And the people in northern St. Lucie County had a few, either 5 or 6. And they weren't all elderly. A couple of them were toddlers, or at least one of them was a toddler. Some were elderly, all ages. That's one thing about storms. They don't care how old you are. Whatever path, if you're in their path, that is it. And I hate to say it, but the places where there were really excessive damage were the mobile home parks. We have to think seriously as a voter about promoting more mobile home parks. They are really bad investments. Not only financially, though they're inexpensive, and I understand that, and the people can buy one for a small amount and get to really enjoy the atmosphere down here. But let me tell you, they are barely or not at all insurable for 2 reasons. They will blow upside down like a car. Remember, they're registered like an automobile. And they can be totally lost with people being electrocuted with exposed wires and flooded with all kinds of plumbing disorders. And the worst part of a mobile home park is that they all have metal roofs. And you don't need a hurricane, you just need a thunderstorm with electricity in the air, and they will take aim at a large metal roof neighborhood. Why? Because it attracts electricity. Metal attracts electricity. So keep that in mind, too. Even if you buy a cottage and all 100 cottages in a new subdivision have nothing but metal roofs, it actually is an attraction to thunder and lightning. So keep that in mind. Not one metal roof. Don't get upset if you have a metal roof. If you have a metal roof in with several other buildings, you're probably very safe. But when there's a whole field of metal roofs, that is a problem. So keep that in mind, too, whether you're looking for a development or an individual home. Remember, check everything out and be careful of what you say. So with that in mind, have a great week, and I'll see you next time.